We were told it doesn't happen.
All the air conditioning is not working.
This is WDSU News at 6.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome. It's so nice to see you here with us. Let me turn the volume down there. I think we are good to go. It looks like we have folks with us here in the sanctuary. We want to welcome everyone. It's nice to see you here. We want to welcome everyone who's joining us online here in our Zoom room, as well as all who are on the website, on our live stream, Facebook, YouTube, Live, you name it. However you made your way here, know that we're glad that you could join us as we welcome Shabbat. We're going to begin by welcoming each other. Okay. Page 128, Hinei ma tov u'manaim shevet achim gam yachad. Behold how good and how pleasant it is when we all come together to celebrate Shabbat, to form this holy community together. Hinei ma tov u'manaim shevet achim gam yachad. I want to, as we begin our service, I want to thank Dr. Marcus St. Julian for helping to organize our music. I want to thank our wonderful singers for being with us. It's good to have you back. We have missed having you here in our sanctuary over the last 2 years, so we're glad, very glad to have you joining us once again. On page 142, our song of welcome, Shalom Aleichem, peace unto you, as we greet each other, as we greet God's messengers who are here to check up on us. Shalom Aleichem, page 142, as we begin our Shabbat Eve service. We turn now to the lighting of our Shabbat candles, which can be found on pages 120 and 121.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu v'hadliknu shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Thank you, Jen. Very appropriate to have Jen helping to light our Shabbat candles. You saw from our messaging that we are joining with WRJ as well as with NCJW in joining with this celebration of Repro Shabbat as we talk about reproductive rights, justice, and freedom for all. And Jen is a big part of why we are doing that this evening. We turn now to page 123. There we find the words of our Shabbat Kiddush, the sanctification of the Sabbath day. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon inchilanu zikaron le'maseh boreshit. Ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim. Ki vanu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol amim v'shabbat kodshecha Be'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. Right? We continue now on page 125. And I'll put the words up on the screen for those who are following along at home so that you can join with us. Page 125. There we go. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time, contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Together, let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat, abide. On page 130. Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai. Raise a shout for our rock and deliverer. Let us come into God's presence with praise. Let us raise a shout for God in song. In that spirit, we turn to page 138 and we continue with Lecha Dodi. We turn now in our prayer books to page 264, and we rise for the call to worship. Page 265. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv haravim, v'chochma potzeach she'arim, u'vidvunam shaneh itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'mesadzer et hakochavim, v'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom u'mevi layla, uma'avdil ben yom u'vein layla. Adonai tziva'ot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu, leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. We continue on page 266. We read responsively in the English. I'll put the words back up on the screen for those at home. In each age, we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment, we are addressed by the world together. In each age, we are challenged by our ancient teaching. At each moment, we stand face to face with truth. In each age, we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment, the knowing heart is filled with wonder. In each age, the children of Torah become its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Please be seated. Page 268, we read together in the English the words of Ahavta. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus shall you remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai, your God, Adonai Elohechem Emet. On page 269, we read responsively, we worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all together. Yet that oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound. Before our eyes, there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness. There is evil enough to break the heart. There is good enough to exalt the soul. When will redemption come? When we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves. Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High. We learned God's presence redeems time and event. So we celebrate this power that makes for freedom. Page 270, we join in our song of freedom, Micha Mocha. Page 271. We find our evening lullabies. We ask God to keep an eye on us, to spread God's shelter of peace over us, over all of our loved ones. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. We join together in the Hashkivenu. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Page 272, we continue with the covenant of Shabbat, Vishamro. Page 273, we rise for the Amidah. Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi agi tehilatecha Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, El Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo V'Yahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham, Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechaye Hakol Atah, Rav Rehoshia, Mechalkel Chaim V'Chesed, Mechaye Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Nofim V'Rofei Chodim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umidom Melach, Melech Leimit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'emanat Alachayot Akol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, v'kedoshim v'chol yom yadaducha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. We may all be seated. We continue on page 278. Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot and grant share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai our God, grant as our heritage your holy Shabbat, that Israel who sanctifies your name may rest on it. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu b'Amacha Yisrael u'tfilatam ba'ahava tekabel. Be gracious, Adonai our God, to your people Israel, and receive our prayers with love. O may our worship always be acceptable to you. Fill us with the knowledge that you are near to all who seek you in truth. Let our eyes behold your presence in our midst and in the midst of our people in Zion. Blessed is Adonai, whose presence renews Zion. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shechinato l'tzion. We continue on page 281. There we find our prayer for giving thanks, as we give thanks to God for all of our blessings, as we gather the Shabbats. For the good in us which calls us to a better life, we give thanks together. For the strength to improve the world with our hearts and our hands, we offer praise. For the desire in us which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful. For life and nature, harmony and beauty, for the hope of tomorrow, all praise to the source of being. For all these things, O Sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed together. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatzov shimcha, l'chana lehodot. We continue now on page 282 with our prayer for peace. Shalom Rav. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. We take a few moments now for our own silent prayers. We turn now in our prayer books to page 371. And there we find our prayers for healing. As we gather together this Shabbat, we think of members of our families, members of our congregation and community, those all around us who could use some healing in their lives, those who are suffering from the coronavirus, those who are recovering at home and in hospitals, all who are scared, all who could use some healing and wholeness. This Shabbat, the prayers of our congregation go out especially on behalf of Doward Bronson, Dr. Owen Grossman, Howard Robinson, Gig St. Romain, and Joel Webb. When we think of all who could use some healing in their lives, may the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal all those who are in need. May God be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, as together we say, Amen. And we join in our very special prayer of healing. Heal us now. Our Torah reading for this Shabbat is all about laws and rules. In last week's Torah portion, for those of you who might have missed it, we read the 10 Commandments. How do you follow the 10 Commandments? You follow the 10 Commandments by reminding everyone that it's not just 10 commandments in the Torah, and that's not enough rules or guidance by which to live. So this week's Torah portion begins, Ve'ela hamishpatim. These are the laws that you shall set before the people. And what we find here in the middle of Exodus is laws that cover lots of different parts of our lives. Some of which make a lot of sense still today. Some we read and, well, we're not exactly sure what they mean. We're told that you have to take responsibility for your animals. We read the story of the ox that gores. When an ox gores a man or woman to death, the ox shall be stoned and its flesh shall not be eaten, but the owner of the ox is not to be punished. If, however, that ox has been in the habit of goring and its owner, although warned, has failed to guard it, and the ox kills a man or woman, the ox shall be stoned and its owner too shall be put to death. You have to take responsibility. Similarly, if a person opens a pit or digs a pit and doesn't cover it, and an ox or a donkey falls into it, well, the one responsible for the pit must make restitution. Repairing holes in our streets is very important in this week's Torah portion. I think there are some folks in New Orleans who could need to hear that again. We have rules about bailments. If you lend something to someone, what are they responsible for? And then we have rules about the disadvantage of society. We are reminded you shall not wrong a stranger or oppress them, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. We're told that if you lend money to the poor amongst you, do not act towards them as a creditor. We're told that you have to take good care and don't take advantage of the people around you. We're told you cannot carry false rumors. You shall not join hands with the guilty to act as a malicious witness. We are told that you shall not subvert the rights of the needy in any of their disputes. Keep far from false charges. Do not bring death on those who are innocent and in the right. Don't take bribes. Do not oppress the stranger. All of this and more can be found in this week's Torah portion. Now, the reason why this Shabbat Mishpatim, is chosen as our Shabbat to discuss reproductive rights and freedom is because this is where we read the text that gives us our understanding of traditional Jewish views on abortion. I want to share with you a letter written by a colleague of mine. She writes of the importance of this repro Shabbat and how we are in debt to WRJ and NCJW, Women of Reform Judaism, and the National Council of Jewish Women, who have really tried to bring the entire Jewish community together to mark the critical importance of advocating for reproductive freedom, ensuring that we all have access to the quality, comprehensive care that we need to thrive with dignity. And the bottom line is this: reproductive freedom is a Jewish value. Repro Shabbat takes place when we read this week's Torah portion and the verses that undergird Judaism's approach to the termination of pregnancy, which is permitted and sometimes even required if the life of the pregnant person is in danger. And of course, we read Kavod HaBriot, human dignity, and more broadly, the idea of building a just society, and how these are all ultimate Jewish concerns. Rabbi Meyer reminds us that abortion is a part of our communities. 1 in 4 people who can get pregnant will terminate a pregnancy by the age of 45. Our communities should be places where anyone who has or who may ever terminate a pregnancy feels loved and welcomed. And our communities should be places where everyone can feel welcome to share their reproductive health stories without fear of shame or stigma. I think we're getting a little feedback there. You can still hear me though. If folks wish to share, let us be a community that welcomes sharing of personal journeys, whether that involves termination, fertility challenges, pregnancy loss, or any other experience. The moral urgency of this issue is greater than ever this year. For the first time ever, states enacted here in the United States more than 100 abortion restrictions in a single year, more than any other year since Roe v. Wade was decided 49 years ago in 1973, including the draconian abortion ban in our neighboring state of Texas. And in early December, the Supreme Court heard arguments in Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization, a direct challenge to Roe v. Wade. The future of reproductive health care now hangs in the balance. So why are we participating in Repro Shabbat this year for our second year? It's because this is so important, and to remind everyone that reproductive freedom is a Jewish value. The 2 most important concepts I want us to take away from our Torah reading this Shabbat: what does Judaism say about abortion? We are reminded that abortion is permitted and sometimes even required in Jewish law. Abortion can be seen as pikuach nefesh, the saving of a life. Abortion can be seen as self-defense. We are told that we have to protect the life of the mother. The fetus can be seen as a rodef, as one who is trying to endanger the life of another. Our tradition teaches us that we must do whatever it takes to keep the rodef, the pursuant, from taking a life. Again, the mother's life, the real life, takes priority over the potential life. And the rabbis teach we're not just talking about her physical health, but rather her emotional, psychological, and spiritual health as well. The second issue that we have to keep in mind is the question of who gets to make the laws. We firmly believe that everyone is entitled to their own religious beliefs on this issue. However, the law should be written for all according to should not be written for all according to the beliefs of just a few. Laws granting fetal personhood and or asserting that life begins at conception violate the Establishment Clause by enshrining one's religious view into law. This violates pregnant individuals' rights to make their own decisions about their bodies, as well as collectively violating most Jews' right to practice Judaism, which permits and even sometimes requires terminating pregnancies if the life of the pregnant person is at stake. Roe v. Wade already established that laws banning and or limiting access to abortion care also violate the constitutional right to privacy found in the 14th Amendment. Abortion access is a very important issue. It's an issue of pikuach nefesh, of saving lives. And restricting access goes against the Jewish values of safety, health, and justice for all. And so as we read this section of our Torah portion, we are reminded of these important Jewish values. I want to encourage you to investigate on your own. And again, we're grateful to WRJ, NCJW, as well as the Religious Action Center in Washington, D.C., who have all prepared wonderful resources in honor of this Shabbat, this Repro Shabbat, as we stand for reproductive rights, freedom, and health for all. So I encourage you to go to the RAC's website, rac.org, the Religious Action Center, as well as the WRJ.org, NCJW.org, as well as rabbiesforrepro.com, as I proudly join with Rabbis for Reproductive Rights. And I'm proud to be a part of the Religious Coalition for Reproductive Choice. The slogan, the belief, we are pro-faith, we are pro-family, we are pro-choice. Again, reproductive justice is an important Jewish value, and we need to make sure that our voices are heard. We turn now in our prayer books to page 586, our concluding prayers, and we rise. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tzei gdula le'otzer b'reishit, shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot, ve'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, ve'goraleinu kechol amonam, v'anachnu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Please be seated. Page 589, our prayer for the future. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind or idolatry blind the eye. O may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. Yesterday on our calendars, January 27th, was the International Holocaust Remembrance Day, a day established in the year 2005 to mark the 60th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau. And we remember, especially now this Shabbat, all those who died in the Holocaust. We remember our 6 million and all the victims of Nazi oppression. We think of them now. Page 596. We have lived in numberless towns and villages, and in too many of them we have endured cruel suffering. Some we have forgotten, others are sealed in our memory, a wound that does not heal. 100 generations of victims and martyrs, still their blood cries out from the earth. And so many at Dachau, at Buchenwald, at Babi Yar. What can we say? What can we do? How bear the unbearable or accept what life has brought to our people? All who are born must die, but how shall we compare the slow passage of time with the callous slaughter of the innocent, cut off before their time? They lived with faith, not all, but many. And surely many died with faith in God, in life, in goodness that even flames cannot destroy. May we find a way to the strength of that faith, that trust, that sure sense that life and soul endure beyond this body's death. They have left their lives to us. Let a million prayers rise whenever Jews worship. Let a million candles glow against the darkness of these unfinished lives. We turn now to page 598. As we think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, as we mourn the loss this week of Marie-Louise M.L. Levy-Stoyer and Ann Gibson. We are in Shloshim for Peggy Rabinowitz-Jacobs, John Jefferson, Jeff Emerson, as well as Kenneth Barnshaw, Shaw Thompson III. And we think of those who died of this season in years past, those whom we've taken into our hearts with our own. As we lovingly recall the art site now of Irma Hirsch Ackerman, Ruby Shane Blumenthal, Nettie Brown Chaplin, Irving B. Cohen, Joseph Dinkelspiel, Eva Forsheimer, Rachel Wassman Gelfius, Lynn Weinberger Goldman, Marvin L. Goldman, Therese R. Hausman, Sandra Palin Heller, Delphine Aaron Hirsch, Sarah Kahn, Sadie Schwartz Kern, Sarah Bloom Klein, Ida Rittenberg Kohlmeyer, Mattathias Levy, Jack London, Ethel Siegel Mansfield, Joseph Albert Miller, Teresa B. Montague, Harold Rubin, Anna Sobolov, Moise S. Stieg Sr., Dr. Melvin D. Steiner, Bernard Tuckman, Dr. Edmund F. Walker, Clarice G. Weinstein, and Alice M. Weiss. Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be a forever blessing. As we rise now as one community to recite the words of Kaddish Yatom there on page 598. Together, Yitkadzal v'yitkadash me'raba, v'alma divrach irutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon of yomechon, v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'agalav izman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'olam ulalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudisha b'rechu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, da'amiran v'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabba min Shemayim v'chayim, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are bereaved, as together we say, Amen. Please be seated. It's my pleasure now to call on our temple president, Ellen Cohen, for a few words of announcement and welcome.
Welcome to all on this Shabbat evening, and Rabbi, thank you for your meaningful and thoughtful sermon tonight. The beam of flowers for this Shabbat were sponsored by Ruth Leibowitz in memory of Clarice G. Weinstein, and Robert and Pamela Stieg and family in memory of Moise S. Stieg Sr. We have virtual Torah study tomorrow morning beginning at 9:15 a.m., followed by our Shabbat morning service, which will begin at 10:30 a.m. Both can be accessed online via Zoom and will be streaming live on our Facebook page and website. The Temple Sinai Sisterhood will meet this Sunday, January 30th at 10 a.m. Please join us. That will be on Zoom, and the link has been set. Both our Temple Sinai TV and book clubs will be meeting next week on February 1st and 3rd at 7 p.m. over Zoom. And make sure, please, to mark your calendars for this year's Spring Gala on Saturday, April 2nd at 4 p.m. at Longview House and Gardens. We're so excited to see you all in person for our outdoor garden party gala. Shabbat Shalom.
There is lots happening here at Temple. Again, we hope that you will check the Temple website as well as the bulletin for up-to-date information about everything that is happening at Temple, all of our programming and adult education. This Sunday, we are pleased to welcome our religious school students, our Chavarah at Sinai students, back to the Temple this Sunday. We'll be mostly outside and a little bit inside in our small groups, but we're glad that we can resume here in person this Sunday morning. Again, I want to thank Marcus for organizing everything today. I want to thank all of our singers. Thank you, Cedric and Allison and Sharon and Randy. Thank you for being here with us again this evening and sharing your beautiful voices with us and enhancing our Sabbath worship. I want to thank Jen Daly, who's not only working the cameras and helping with the Zoom, but also our inspiration and push to be sure that Temple Sinai was a part of Repro Shabbat once again this year. Again, we've been through a lot over the last couple of weeks. We're going to conclude our service with the singing of our prayer for peace, Oseh Shalom, as we pray for peace for our community, for our people, for the entire world. So I invite you to please rise and let's join together in Oseh Shalom. Adonai Oz La'amo Yitain, may God grant strength to our people. Adonai Yivarech et Amo v'Shalom, may God bless us, our families, our congregation, our community, our country, and all those who serve and protect it. May God bless the land and people of Israel and all the world with the blessing of Sabbath peace. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom to everyone here in our sanctuary. We're so glad you could join us in person.
Shabbat
I want to wish
Shalom,
a Shabbat
everybody.
Shalom to all those joining us online. A special Shabbat Shalom, and thank you to the members of our Temple Sinai Sisterhood who have joined us this Shabbos. Again, it's great to see everyone. Shabbat Shalom to those in Mississippi and Louisiana. Shabbat Shalom, Terry and Mary. Shabbat Shalom, Elizabeth. Shabbat Shalom, Kurt. Oh, Shabbat Shalom to Tulsa, Oklahoma as well. Shabbat Shalom, Billy and Jane. Good to see you. Shabbat Shalom, Janice and Mike. Sharon, Shabbat Shalom. David, Shabbat Shalom. John and Doris, I see you there. You're hiding from me. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Keith, I see you there. Shabbat Shalom, Mark. I was especially thinking of Alice this Shabbat. Want you to know. Shabbat Shalom, Robin. It's good to see you. A belated happy birthday once again.
Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom, Helen and Andy. I see you there. Shabbat Shalom, Verdi. I see you.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Marion. Thanks for being here. Shabbat Shalom, Ruth. Always good to have you with us.
Now they do.
And everyone, Shabbat Shalom. Thanks so much for joining us this Shabbat. Again, there's some important resources out there. I hope that you will check them out. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.